Hi, I'm Peter Brooks, and I'm here today joined by Nancy Peale, the Executive Director of the Peale Center
Nancy
in Baltimore,
Proctor.
Maryland.
Nancy
Nancy
Proctor.
Proctor.
It's
Should I
true.
call you Nancy,
I,
Executive
I'm,
Director?
I eat, sleep, drink, breathe Peale, so it's not incorrect to call me Nancy Peale, but I do have another accent too.
Well, you've got some really exciting stuff to show us and talk to us about that's coming up. So we wanted to go live to share this information with the people of Baltimore. I think that parents, certainly teachers, other nonprofit professionals, journalists, community leaders, politicians certainly should be interested in the information that you've got to share, which is why I invited you on. So what do you have to share? Tell us about it.
Great.
Monday,
Thanks for
December
asking, Peter.
2nd.
So on December 2nd, we're having a very special event at the Charles Theater. At 7:30, we're going to be screening two new films. One is called Strive. It's brought to us by UMC TV, the streaming movie service from AMC Networks. And it features Joyce Starr and Danny Glover in a story about a young woman who is striving to get an education. She's grown up in the projects, and so she's facing a lot of challenges, and she really wants to go to Yale. And so it's all about the story of how she confronts and overcomes those challenges. Before that feature film screening, we're going to be showing a new mini documentary that was produced by the Baltimore National Heritage Area. It's called By Any Means Necessary, Stories of Survival. And it really is a vehicle for communicating the stories of Baltimore squeegee kids, who, of course, have been around for decades. And there's been a kind of a renewed interest and a lot of discussion about them and what they do. And Shantae Daniels, the executive director of Baltimore National Heritage Area, felt like it was really important to hear from these young people themselves and get their stories straight from them. So the Peale was very happy to help advise on that project and to present it on December 2nd.
And you've got some photographs here from it. Let's see. Are they up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
cool.
the Peale's staff photographer, Daisy Brown, photographed the making of this mini documentary. Here we see some of the guys from the G300 Squeegee Boys, as they call themselves. And so she's taken these beautiful photographs of the young people, and they're going to be on display in the lobby of Charles Theater starting at 5:30 on Monday, December 2nd. And you'll even be able to buy some and take them home. And the photographer and the G300 Squeegee Boys are sharing the proceeds of those sales. So it does benefit these young people as they're trying to professionalize and really be young entrepreneurs in Baltimore.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I think that's really good. And why would people want to learn more about the Squeegee Boys? What's the big deal with that? In case you have been sleeping under a rock.
Right, right. Well, I mean, the Peale is a center for Baltimore stories, and our role really is to be a platform to amplify and make sure that the voices and the stories of the city get heard and are part of the cultural record of Baltimore. So we felt like it was really important, as there was some conversation about, the squeegee kids. Are they causing damage to the city, or are they young entrepreneurs, to actually give them the microphone and make sure that we could hear from them themselves. And their stories are incredibly inspiring. And it's also really interesting to hear what their ambitions are, where they want to take their business. So we just think, if you want to know the full story of Baltimore, you need to make sure that everybody gets listened to. And
That's true.
the Peale's role, and one of the things that we're trying to do with this event.
That's true. And I think, we're all kind of conditioned not to listen to the Squeegee Boys and roll up our windows or turn on our windshield wipers or whatever people, want to do. And I think everyone's really concerned about the issue of youth unemployment and stuff, but no one knows what to do. So I think this event may be a really important discussion and opportunity to move forward, meet people and network who are all concerned about that.
Yeah. And several of the G300 will be at the reception, along with Noel Acton from Tenderbridge, who's been sort of mentoring and helping them. So I completely agree. It's a great opportunity to meet some of the people involved who really have deep and firsthand experience, not to mention some of the squeegee boys themselves, and really hear from them directly.
And then we've got this other film showing, which is called Strive. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Strive is similarly the story of a young woman who is growing up in the projects. She wants to go to Yale, but has a lot of different things against her, her family situation, economic, and not to mention, you know, centuries of systemic racial injustice and discrimination against African Americans. So it's about how she overcomes that. And the co-star for Joy Starr plays this young woman, and the co-star is Danny Glover, who happens to be one of the founding board members of the Real News Network, who are on, we share a block on Holiday Street. So they're 2 doors down from the Peale and have been great neighbors and friends. So we were thrilled to kind of give them a little hat tip too. And in fact, they'll be at the opening reception interviewing folks about kind of Baltimore stories and their relationship to the Peale, and we'll be making another little film, hopefully using some of those clips, really about the Peale and our project, trying to build some support for what we're trying to do.
And all that'll be taking place on Monday?
That's right, Monday, December 2nd. And you might be interested to hear about a couple of other fun things that are going to be going on in the lobby of the Charles then.
All right, give me 1 sec. Can we look at the trailer? Do you want to look at the trailer from Strive?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. All right, real quick. And I am going to take it from, give me 1 sec. There we go.
The great what ifs of life. They either propel you to greatness or stunt you to hemoglobin.
Yellow's where I want to be and my first choice.
Oh no, she's trying to be one of those bougie Negroes who leaves all behind.
I can't help it. I can't get rid of the ad.
I have since 500 on my English paper.
Oh,
I need you to get ready for church.
there we go. Sorry about that.
Protect you, now tell me it.
I told you to look out for your sister. How could you let this happen?
I'm scared, Kalani.
I have dreams, goals, aspirations, vision.
That's your destiny.
My destiny. I'm here for you, sis, okay?
Definitely didn't know the girl behind those beautiful braids.
We're going to a poppin' party. We know.
But we have to ask ourselves, is the American dream just an ideal or worth to live by?
All the ways in which your dream are often undermined. You're gonna have to get through it.
She could get me killed. She could get all of us killed.
You're the one who can see us. The money can do everything and be everything to everybody again. Do it.
Wow, looks really, really awesome. Looks really, really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
It takes your breath away. I mean, what can you say? I mean, it's a real challenge.
beyond the fact that, you know, the Peale is a center for Baltimore stories, we also saw these films as an opportunity to connect with a really important part of the Peale's history. From 1878 to 1889, our historic building, which was in fact the first purpose-built museum in the Western Hemisphere, was used as male and female colored school number 1. So we're now in Reconstruction era, and the very first public schools were being built for people of color in the state of Maryland. And the Peale building housed one of the first 13, male and female colored school number 1. Now, initially, those colored schools, as they were called, did not have a secondary school education. So basically, you could go there for elementary school and then that was it, because it was considered not necessary or even desirable, as it was put, for people of color to have a high school degree. Fortunately, thanks to Isaac Myers and the Brothers of Liberty and some other activists, that was turned around in 1882, and the school in the Peale building was given the first charter to provide a secondary school education to people of color. This was really important, not just because of the education, but because until you had a high school degree, you couldn't teach. So that meant that in the early days of the public colored schools, only white teachers were allowed to teach the African American students. And so that was really turned around in the Peale building. And we're really proud and feel like this is a very important part of the Peale's history, that it played this role in addressing some of the structural injustices, the racism that has plagued public school education in the country from the very beginning. So
Wow.
we love the way these films kind of encourage us to look back at where all this started and reconnect the current reality with its historic roots to understand the situation better and hopefully be better equipped to address it.
Wow, awesome. And you've got something else going on in the lobby. I know you wanted to tell us what's going on at the same time. Let's talk about these VR tours.
Yeah, well, I mean, in addition to being a center for Baltimore stories, we're a bit of a platform for innovation. So the Peale is a lab today for asking what should a museum be for 21st century audiences. So we're going to be presenting in virtual reality 2 exhibitions that happened in the Peale building. The building's actually closed right now for our interior renovations, but will be, reopened towards the end of next year, we're hopeful. And in the meanwhile, you can visit some of the awesome shows and experiences that we've had in the historic Peale Museum building through virtual reality goggles and even on your browser from home or wherever you are. So this is an amazing exhibition that was curated by the artist Jeffrey Kent, who is also the artistic director at the Peale. It's an exhibition by Devin Allen called Spaces of the Unentitled. And it features his photographs of abandoned row houses and other buildings in Baltimore. It was particularly poignant in the Peale building because, as you might be able to tell from just panning around this VR tour here, that building as well, the Peale, was abandoned and left empty for 20 years and suffered a lot of damage, much like some of the buildings in Devin Allen's photographs. So there was a real sympathy and kind of conversation happening between the building itself in which this exhibition was hosted and then the photos of the other buildings around Baltimore. So we're really thrilled that our friends at Direct Dimensions came in and they captured this exhibition and then the next exhibition that Jeffrey Kent curated called Adam Stab Street Life Art. And they're in very high resolution 3D, so you can actually visit them even if you didn't get to see them in the building.
Wow. And you've even got a ghost tour of the colored school. Is that in virtual reality? And that's going to be fun because that means that there's something at this exhibit for everybody.
That's right. So the ghost tour, as we're calling it, again, is building on some really wonderful work that was done for us by Direct Dimensions. They came in and they 3D scanned the whole building on the inside. And so we used that 3D data cloud, as it's called, to create a tour through the colored school exhibit that was in the Peale building until we started our renovations that really told the story of male and female colored school number 1. So again, even though our building shut down, you're going to be able to learn more about that important period in the Peale's history and get to experience it just as a video fly-through of this kind of ghost tour, as we call it.
Wow. And even though the students are no longer at the school, you'll even get to experience, what that was like, and something of that history in a way that's just real. And I think the virtual reality, it's not just impressive technologically, it also kind of gets you in your gut. I mean, it's something to experience if you've never seen it. And I think it's really important for educators and parents and stuff to keep up with what the latest trends are in technology, and they can do this for free, right, in the lobby of the Charles Theater.
That's right. So anybody can come in from 5:30 and up until the screenings start at 7:30. All this will be available in the lobby. And I'm glad you mentioned educators because the ghost tour exhibit which we kind of call School One as shorthand at the Peale, was curated by Tanika Berkeley, who is a museum educator. And she led a team of researchers, which includes other curators and research and educators, to learn more about that period from 1878 to 89, when the Peale was male and female colored school number one. And that research is ongoing. So there's another group called the Strikeware Collective. They actually got a Ruby grant to build on their research into the histories of what happened to the first class of graduates from the high school that was at the Peale, or that started at the Peale. And so they're going to be offering, that show's going to open in January. So while the Peale Museum building is closed, we're actually operating out of the Carroll Mansion, which is less than a mile away, just very near the Reginald Lewis Museum. And you're going to be able to go and see a preview of what's going to be an augmented reality exhibit at the Carroll Mansion, talking about this history of this first class of graduates from the very first colored high school in Baltimore.
Wow, that is so
There's going to be lots of fun stuff going on. And if you come to the VIP reception, which starts
at 5:30, that's when it starts.
That's right, you will get to have your silhouette cut by Lauren Muni. She's a local artist who cuts in the 18th, 19th century freehand style. So she can sit there in like 2 minutes, cut your silhouette freehand. And it's amazing and a beautiful work of art. And it's also kind of hearkening back to another interesting point in the Peale's history. In the Peale household, so the Peale Museum was founded by Rembrandt Peale. It opened in 1814. And his dad was Charles Wilson Peale, who started the very first museum in the country up in Philadelphia. In that museum, there worked for a period a young man named Moses Williams as a silhouette cutter. He was an African American. He was the child of an enslaved couple who were traded to Charles Wilson Peale in exchange for a couple of portraits. And he actually lived and remained in the Peale household even after his parents were emancipated when he was only 8 years old. Kind of by law, this is another thing that we're doing some more research into, but there were various laws and loopholes in Philadelphia around African Americans and their freedom or lack thereof. And Moses Williams stayed in the Peale household until he was 27 years old. And
Wow.
he earned money by cutting silhouettes and operating a silhouette cutting machine in the Peale's museum there. He earned enough money to actually buy a house in Philadelphia, and he got married. He married the family's Irish indentured servant wife and did quite well until photography was invented, which unfortunately put him and a number of silhouette cutters out of business. So, it's kind of, we're trying to connect these contemporary artistic practices and these contemporary artists with these historical roots and all the amazing, wonderful stories that have kind of run through the Peale building. So you get a taste of all of that on Monday the 2nd.
Well, Nancy, what really interested me about the Peale and why I always enjoy supporting you and the work you do, in addition to the fact that you're charming and whatever, and you've always been really supportive of me, which I truly appreciate. It's the fact that the Peale is not just the museum or the place for storytellers in Baltimore, storytellers like myself, raconteurs, but it's also a museum that prides itself in advocating for time travel. And if you could talk a little bit about that, I would really appreciate it. Now that I've got you here, I don't know when I'll have you on the air again, but I think people should know about that because, it's something that's been underground and what have you for a long period of time, or skepticism.
Right. Well, we believe at the Peale in making history really tangible and immersive. And we work with a lot of artists and performers who use immersive theater techniques and multisensory experience design to make sure that you're not just seeing objects in a glass case or hearing a lecture or reading a label, but that we put you there. We want you to feel like you're there in that moment in history, really experiencing and getting to know it firsthand. So our director of operations, David London, who is a curator as well as a magician, has created some amazing experiences that take you back 200 years to the very early days of the Peale Museum building. and what was going on there. You get to go to Rembrandt's Peale studio, rifle through his drawers, see what was on his easel, what he was painting, the letters he was writing. And we are able to teleport some augmented reality technology back 200 years to help us in that exploration of the building. That's a lot of fun. And we also have submersive productions, resident at the Peale. They've been with us since 2017 when we started renovating and trying to reopen the Peale and give it this new lease on life. And Submersive do incredible work. They hosted a production that many might remember called H.T. Darling's Incredible Museum back in 2017, which again really looks at the ethics of collecting and curation, and was a wonderful founding moment for the Peale as we reopened to put into context and really hold up a mirror for us to look at our own practice. What are we doing? You know, what does it mean to be a museum in the 21st century? And what is our ethical role to the city, to our communities, in collecting and presenting and creating these experiences that are grounded in history? Whose story is being told and by whom? So we like to take you back in time and all around Baltimore, and you get to hear from contemporary as well as historical voices, and hopefully add your own as well. Everything we do at the Peale is really grassroots up.
Yes, it is.
Community.
Yeah, it is.
Really, every single program we've got has walked in off the street and somebody said, "Hey, I'd like to do this."
That's right.
Or some expert top down saying this is what we're going to do. So it's built, you know, by the community, with the communities, for the communities, and we'd be delighted to have anybody who's listening now participate, not just on December 2nd, but ongoing, and not just at the Peale, but at the Carroll Mansion and all around Baltimore, because we don't want to just be about one place in Baltimore, but be part of this whole network.
I agree. That's been my experience as well. It's a very welcoming and supportive environment for artists and storytellers and historians. And I think it's really important for the city of Baltimore. And it's a real anchor for people like that, and sort of a center for us to gather and collaborate and all. And so really proud of your work, proud of what you're doing, happy to support you. Hope that the community can come out on December 2nd at 5:30, you know, meet the filmmakers and the people who are going to be there, book the screening, you know, book the film at your school or your community and what have you. Let's really start a discussion about not just the history of Baltimore, but the type of Baltimore we want to see in the future.
That's right.
So
Perfect.
Great. Thanks again, Nancy. Once again, it's going to be Monday, December 2nd at 5:30 p.m. at the Charles. I've been here with Nancy Proctor, the Executive Director of the Peale Center. Go ahead, Nancy.
I almost forgot. We have a free code for anybody who wants to go to the screenings for free. All you have to do is go to the pealecenter.org/strive and put in the code when you book your tickets, free strive. And then you're very welcome to join us at no cost whatsoever at 7:30.
Wow. Can you spell that really quick?
Yeah, so the pealecenter.org is THE. Peale is spelled PEALE, center, CENTER.org/strive, STRIVE. And the code for the free screenings is free strive, FREESTRIVE.
Wow. But don't take a ticket if you're not going to go to the film, because I know a lot of people will want to go. It's going to sell out and stuff like that. So if you get a ticket and you can't come, leave it there, because a lot of people are going to show up for the virtual tours, which will be there as well. And I suppose either the artists or people who are close to the artists will be there, as well as
the artists. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as well as the people who do the VR. So it's going to be a really exciting night, a great opportunity to tie into what's happening and what's going to be happening in the future in the city of Baltimore, because we all know that everything is kind of moving toward virtual reality. For some people, it's a strength, and for some people, it's like, oh my gosh, and we're going to make it so that you're prepared for it.
Yeah, it's about it, getting a chance to explore it and figure out what it is useful for, and maybe what not.
Yeah. All right. Once again, this was great. Thanks a bunch, Nancy. Really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you Monday.
Okay, me too. Thanks again.
All right.